Several muff seems to know the way. Which way or choose from? Anyway, do not you let us surround one along the wall. The beginning of the Kobayashi-kun. While saying so, of Hashiba Mr. to rely a flashlight and began to walk soon toward the right. Oh, here there is a small hole. This is the first of the branch road. Gosh, does not it sound like that somehow the flow of water, Yes, some of this limestone cave. That a river of small underground is flowing. If this branch road to go, I'm sure, I'm out there. Oh, Pearl River scene. But stalactites. Things from that ceiling white icicle like has dropped a lot. Hashiba-kun of the electric light. The corner of one of the ceiling of the cave had been out against round. That and the light, large, pale white stone of the icicle is, as the giant tusks. Are you terribly hanging? Because there is surely stalagmites to see. That under the bottom. Oh, there. It looks like white like the ghost mushrooms. When you see those strange scenery, everyone, somehow, such as wondered even to the fairy tale of the magic of the country, could not help not become a strange feeling. A is around it pitch black, because to say that light is what's one flashlight only. Feelings such as that seen in the more scary dream. Out of the darkness, not know the depths that is something more there is no monster. At any moment when I think not that the Nasano so appear to come. Be truly brave boys. The back was coming getting cold and wah. Suddenly, someone has built a cry of Tonkyo. Then, it is echoed in a cave. Somewhere a voice like monster is screaming at more distant as wah. Several, has sounded while becoming increasingly faint. Dorada, what's wrong? Do not you be surprised. It's me, it is me. Do not you Saito you. How to junior college. What the somewhat is ice cold, was hit to the place of the neck. Oh, creepy. Nanda. Oh yam the water from the ceiling fell. Mountain of water from the crevices of the rock. Falling. When you put out a big voice. From more distant, coming back the voice of echo. Such as the monster since the thing. Everyone scared to it, we each other talking in low. Such as whisper voice. Then, while run down the increasingly rock skin. And around the cave, second, third, and fourth, but was sure that there are 4 branch road. In consultation, among them, most wild select the second of the way. Now that still proceed to the back. The branch road is considerably wide. There is no need to be all force. Also but began to walk to create a single file. And I think was also carried out 10 meters. Was divided another way as to 2. Even if we know how much road. I'm fine because there's a string. Anyway, little do not you try to proceed to a wider any time. Is the beginning of the Kobayashi-kun. While saying so, and to the right of the white hole I went to say. The road, a place widely. If you a certain place is narrow, become steep uphill. Also to go downhill, it meanders randomly, and as was followed without interminable. Moreover, because we are divided into branch road and every walk 20 steps or 30 steps. It is exactly the maze. Oh, I remember a great deal or it. A number there is a branch road. It's 5. It was down. 5. Another signpost of the string is Nakariya. I cannot go back to the very original outlet. I would all right. Okay, but eyeball has become smaller. I do not remain only about another 20 meters. We guess I walked about 80 meters from the entrance. Only 80 meters pedal. Easy to feel like I walk even 500 meters. In the darkness, while walking hand in hand. And Shinazaki and Mr. Katsura-kun was Basoboso to Sasayakia. Since the beginning has been the Kobayashi-kun and Hashiba Mr. considerably away. In the distant flashlight, just boys had perceived her before us. That flicker in black is divided seen barely, though it seems to travel even to hell. Also in the whole of mine, I would surely like this. Yeah, that's right, although a great deal you are bad. But, that's nice. What I came to a place like this. I'm the first time in my life. in the middle of the column. And still Yoichi Uemura, that had held hands in Taro Saito, has been especially close to talking about such a thing. Then, at that time, from the beginning of the column, a highly Kobayashi chief voice has been sounded just. Gosh, Z, there is a bridge to a place like this. Thick plater me, together with its voice, because Kobayashi is what Mr. has stopped. The matrix in the darkness. We have stopped imperfect. Monster. Hashibe-kun. It seems to be somewhat deep hole. Visit lend a flashlight. Kobayashi leader is from Hashibe-kun, and will receive a flashlight. So I tried to light the feet. There are. Dat master of any long jump. Tobiko's there is no such as likely. Though love is big deep hole. In the middle. The top of thick plate. You are multiplying like a bridge. When the plate will look at the place still new. Very recently someone. There is no difference to those which have been multiplied. Kobayashi-kun to the bottom of the plate. Put refers to the flashlight. We examine the depth of the hole. The bottom is deep enough to not reach even the light of the lamp. It become wider as the bottom. Listen mast. From more of far below. You hear the sound of the flow of go-go and water. If once you have fallen by sliding your feet, there is no crowded scene of course survive. When you cry, Minna, and beware, because there is a deep hole here, Kobayashi-kun. An echo of the voice is a deep hole. Garn. We Hibiki and Garn. Then, holes in the into the flashlight that is toward the bottom light. Out of the darkness below. The black big thing is something. At a very fast. Has appeared to float a smooth stop. In the weak light of a flashlight. But I did not know as well as anything in Tosa. Things like fluffy something rat color. While it is an instant increase the form. And I think have jumped up in smooth stop. Peering the previous day was Kobayashi-kun and Hashibe-kun of the eye. As grazing in terrible momentum. Into the other side of the darkness. I have disappeared like an arrow. Hashibe, you are taken aback within this sudden. Wah, and it was Tobanoki while screaming. However, is what comes jumped out of the hole like a big well. Was not only one eye. To Hashibe-kun scream. Surprised ran up the boys. While each other holding hands. From the bottom of the hole. Except fearfully. And from the next to the next. Which was fluffy rat color. Some even overlap. Float it does not jump come. Make a hum. Such as turning off the strange wind. It was like feeling from the bottom of hell come soaring devil of an airplane. Oh, I bat. I do bats have you howha. Everybody. I do not anything. It as bat. Bats have jumped surprised to light. Kobayashi-kun is also let go in a loud voice. The boys because to see a live bat is what was the first time. Too much of you poor. Turned back the other as it is. Did I think the way you want go out of the cave? When at Nanda, everyone hate do not you are jumpy. Explorers heard in person Nanny ran away without the fear to bat. Z's kind of the thing laughing. Come on, do not jumpy. I susumu more back. Everybody, you've got to attention to the feet. Kobayashi you are. To say to cheer everyone while seeing off a swarm of bats that had left disappeared into the back of the cave within the twinkling, and take the hand of Hashibe-kun. Steadily it began over Otobashi. The boys also, is said so, do not go to not pull to the left. 10 people also become a single file, with each other hold hands with each other. Across the bridge, I went to the still back to back. Then, if you go a little bit the way narrow, suddenly left and right of the rock but by Tanoi. Now deserted and feel, I was out to the second wide cavity. Oh, also it was wider. Come on. Also while touching the rock, I'm around toward the right. Kobayashi-kun in the order. While everyone is patting the cold rough rock skin. Large cavity it was when I started around the perimeter of, from towards the back of the column. When I think was the cry of up, I heard noises, such as fall and something thud. Hey, what was that? Who dies of cried now? The voice of Kobayashi-kun. K-kun from towards the back was the answer. I fell down, stumbled Shinizaki-yu, while Kobayashi Mr. Light of pretend a flashlight. If you go back to the back of the column, in its light, fallen Shinizaki boy, while frown, was about to trying to get up. Okay, paddle. Injuries did not? Yeah, but it does not hurt. For example, it does not hurt. It's somehow strange. What's strange? What's strange? I apparently had to be outrageous. Edge, I ridiculous. I wonder not it has expired string. You know, no matter how much pull. I'm not you feel. Pulled it pulled only. I'm coming closer plenty slurping into here. Shinizaki it is. Likely to cry another voice doing. Edge, real paddle. Show me a look. Truly Kobayashi leader also. Could not help without scaring to it. If you try to pull to take the hurry Shinizaki-kun of the string of ball from hand. Oh, would be that what? Signpost of straps. It seems got off somewhere. You can be any number of hull lapping. Boy who knew it. We have another while pounding the chest. Gathered around Kobayashi leader and Shinizaki-yu. Dai cord is cut. Real by. Check I wish not be helped. So, do not you we do not coconut longer go home. Shinizaki-kun, because you are absent-minded. The string is either not a rope of our life, then still Shinizaki-kimi remains fallen, was answered with cries. I've got my bad. You guys Pearl River me hit me. Pearl River me hit a only good. I do my attention was not enough. When you hear it, nobody. Could not bring myself to blame the other Shinizaki-yu. Gone and everyone fell silent. In the darkness that was silenced with the scene, only the sound of sipping the nose of Shinizaki-kun had heard. Hey, guys. This is do not a bad Shinizaki-yu. Pearl River look at this. Cut of this string is. I not it was fully in them to rock too. Look here. Suddenly Kobayashi leader strange sense began to say that. When the boys try by the buckwheat that cord is completely preface hauling in hand. Kobayashi you are, by holding the cut in the light of a flashlight. Was are watching curiously. This is no, not like it was worn, but cut that certainly was cut with scissors. Indeed, Himanohashi, such as cut with sharp knife, has seen a clear cut. I wished funny. I wonder exactly who cut the cord. In this cave, in addition to us, nobody is not know. So, I'm no way I wonder. Why would you cut the string? If someone cut it we was allowed get lost I must intend to annoy. That's right, but, I is not going to some guy for such a terrible prank. That's strange. Oh, just maybe. Edge, I just maybe. Kobayashi-kun did when you are going to answer it. Suddenly, from the darkness of the back of the cave, we have heard a horrible growl. Not say downright. It is a big beast. Like being even sounded a rumbling in throat. Was a strange voice that cannot even epithet. As Hatcher stopped the conversation, and we built a listen. The growl is getting violently. Apparently, is not a state approaching to hear. The boys clasped involuntarily knife of pocket. We glared in the darkness, such as flow of ink. I'm a big animal something. Not an animal. Must not be to make an growl. Perhaps. Or something bear. I think we had wandered into the cave. Everyone. Chef sit still. Then, when was like if danger. Because I to the signal. I'm escaped to the road came and also in order. Mind you, Kobayashi leader. The department considered truly thus. Keep and giving attention to everyone. The light of a flashlight that had been in the hands, in the direction of the growl, was discipline as a quick, then, into the round light, from the other side of the darkness, is large enough to something surprised. We were represents the new and appearance. When the boys will glance at its appearance, too much of the fear. So soon and the body was numb. I will not be able to even longer stuck. Oh, did I live as such a terrible animal in the world? It is another. Downright no as good. Nasty. Was the monster. Such as Tazo. A hairy systemic rat color. Body standing in the rear foot is higher than the adults in the back. On top of the body, such as by increasing the face of an owl in about 3-10 times. With a round face, the Harriet has something jumps out like a big beak in the middle of the face of you, two eyes on it glowing with Gioro. The boys. As Mummy, there is no force to look away. Still, but I was a staring game with a monster. Then, monster is waddling in it too, and I think 3-step walk, such as scaring make a big noise, or does not spread the saw and feather. Even though the feather is not a feather of birds, it is the devil's wings, such as in the devil of A Picture of the West, is that nasty feather, in the island from the bridge. It seems to be whether there is also 5 meters, is terribly large wings. At first, however, was not considered only the door should not be a monster, but, while you are staring it, is the identity of itself. It has been gradually revealed. I bat, also, such as hundreds of thousands of times the normal bat. It was a terribly big bats. The best, flew away from the cave. A lot of bats are clustered in one. Did it become such a big monster bats? Or, that small batses, in the servants of the large bat? Do you in a rishi of limestone cave this guy was alive for hundreds of years? The boys, however, was feeling such as that nightmare the other terrible dream. Heart to fear even stopped. Did enough to think that it would be will die in this state. Monster is out of the darkness. While anticipation of the boy who was completely frightened and waddling, you will be closer to the here step by step. Then, in the wings, which spread to the full, cut the saw and air, was to show how likely have jumped to now. Everyone, I'm running for my after. Anymore is no longer able to stand. Kobayashi-kun shaking the flashlight. We rushed to the original came the way. Not flood stood earlier. In flashlight is not in the top, because do not know the way. To this voice, even boys who are paralyzed, as I noticed Hatton and positive, was our late flip fledgling. The running later most is, but as Katsura-kun of the force proud, even in much sumo players. There is no kana dang for this monster. Purr and growl like sounding a throat. A verge likely looming in the back. Worry while running was not a concern. The beginning of the Kobayashi-kun is whether members who do not palm late escape, but was running turning around the back, and you come up around the deep cave of the best. I have stopped as Hatton. A little more, into a hole like that well. It was about to fall slip. Oh, it would be that what? A little while ago, bridge plate that used to take over the cave is no longer visible nor form shadow. Without a bridge, you will not be able to advance the other this way. Cave, such as the wells have spread to fill the road, because there is no place to pass anywhere. To say, not a small hole, such as Tobakoseru. After all, some of this cave, there is no difference to human beings is hidden with hostility to the boys. Rather, because the bridge of the plates should never work alone. A little while ago, referred to as that string of signpost has been cut. Now also referred to as that it no longer has a bridge of the plate. This is either another who is, in an attempt to embarrass the boy expedition. There is no difference in plotting's handiwork. Poor boys. You have no longer even can also withdraw it any more advance. Cave of magic before us. To all drink the boys to buy just. We refrain to love the bright red mouth. From behind. Example of a monster. It is looming ring the throat. Oh, I regard the other luck. Kobayashi started 10 boys detective members of the UR. In a cave of this darkness. There is no soup crying for help. Do you become a thorn ephemeral last moment? Everyone is crouched on the edge of the cave, and we scared to breath also Tade. Even if also at that time, we happen to be terrible, such as to the boys and scaring. From the darkness of the back, I've heard laughter is suddenly, and I think the heart also stops, and try directed the flashlight. 5. In the 6 meters beyond the darkness, that monster had stood up in the hind paws. Then, open a large beak. We laughed in Karakara, in high-pitched voice. such as a young girl, in or else amused look on her. Are you laughing with Karakara? The boys I felt like was passed through refers to the ice bar in Saw and Spine. Oh, laughed Bats. Bats laugh at the voice like a girl. This is will events of this world. Would not a dream, would not a phantom in the darkness, or, for boys of magic energy of the cave, not left alone, mind unlike, the appearance of their not also Mononoke. Did you have envisioned, monster that say things? The boys I felt that would be too much of a wonder of fear. Stopped also beating of the heart. Although it is strange just say that about the size of bats adults. It Nanti out laughing in the human voice. Is not a bizarre thing cannot be at all imagine. However, thus to live feels comfortable there is no boys of ear. We have heard even more frightening voice. You, the large bats when things. I was saying things in the look-alike words with humans. Foo foo foo. But children sissy. But I wonder if the boy detective team members. Hey, Kobayashi-kun. Do not you are trembling up to you. I went to where the usual figure. Large bats. Ground in such come echoing from the bottom voice. It is such a the. You are not supposed to have a human to another. Certainly I monster heard the mouth. Kobayashi boy. Was Mukamuku and got up in the darkness when you hear it? Because the tone of his voice seemed somewhere so that there be heard. And, because we somehow in hash. Kobayashi you are the light of the flashlight that was in hand. Was Sashitsuke to the direction to the saw and voice. Then, in its round light, the face of a monster. Which is also about a big cow. I appeared with new, large bats unawares. It was coming up of about 1 meter. The boys saw the better at the same time. As soon as look at a glance. Too much of odiousness. We will block the involuntarily eyes. In the hairy face with a cow as well. 2 eyes a perfectly round. Was shining with Gyoro. Have popped out like a large black beak under its. It is open and biting into. Tooth wave as the yellow fangs visible in the mouth. We accept the bright red tongue from between them. At any moment the boys. And try to from the head one only. We have previously seen, but Kobayashi boy only, also saw the terrible face. Could not longer scared. Animals cannot have to use human words. Now that said things. Some of this horrible monster. And no difference to the human really is hidden. Because Smart was also determined. It's because you try if you're anyone. The us. Kobayashi you are still Sashitsuke a flashlight. A monster as a kid. I glared. Foo foo foo. I do not know. You guys are a man who is looking very hard. Large bat is going to be. Such as a person to Kobaka. I laughed and couscous. After all, it is human beings are. Man wearing a costume of a large bat. Since the boys were found when you do so. As awoke from a terrible dream. But was relieved. But no longer stiffness of the haunted. This time the human in that monster. And we believe that hell someone. In addition to the fear of distinction. It was the Zoe and the spine is cold. Some of the boys of the head. The name of a person was inspiration and quick. And this kind of terrible mischief. The guy who afflict the boy detective team members. Because no other of that person. Kobayashi-kun. But I smiled thought immediately that name. But, in a cave of this darkness. To refer to that person of the name. Was compelling roasted courage. Than something product of a large bat. Rather, because more of the man was felt terrible. Kobayashi-kun for a while pounding the chest, whether mice or sulfur, but had hesitated, and finally boldly, cried his name. In Shinny Monogurui, I cried, difference that's 20 countenance. Foo foo foo. I was finally found. Exactly. I'm 20 countenance. 20 countenance is not human only. He is garbled that to the animal. I heard the animal you are not in this world. Foo foo foo. No way 20 countenance trying to us no matter waiting for you guys in such a cave. Would not notice. That's what this idea is. Ha ha ha. Is that this was my plan from the beginning. To the plan. You guys I was fairly caught. For example, I wonder if seeing you guys were eat up the exploration of the cave. It's because Katsura and Mr. Shinizaki-kun being there was recommended enthusiastically. By the way, in the futari, there is a classmate who let talking about this cave or else the interesting. Then, it had allowed the futari to fog. The classmate was allowed to kind of talk to, but that this was my none other. I wonder if it was found. Ha ha ha, you guys are riding on my stratagem. Unconcernedly been going to this cave. Then, Ripple the grandfather of assistance to the cheeky, to the string of signpost news, depressed into the maze. That's what? You know everything. But I also was cut on a hemo. But I also had set aside the bridge of the plate on the bottom of the hole. Keep in doing so. In disguise in this kind of monster. I was terrified fully think you guys. Ha ha ha. There is no such a funny thing. You guys in. Because bad things to happen to someday. I thought I would like to somehow get back. But he played at last the long-awaited now. When this large bat has emerged, it's surprised how you guys did not. Ha ha ha. Detective Boyce Nanty I was going to be cheeky. Does not it untyped is suffering from a ghost I'm chest with smooth stop. Ha ha ha. But, it is too early to still peace of mind. My revenge is he nodded that's it. I'm not that satisfied with the mischief of such children's play. Revenge of the real is he a future. Ho ho. I guess scary. You guys. Another lifetime. I cannot leave out of this cave. It's my revenge. I any good. Because you guys lost the signpost of the string. In the maze of this darkness. It has become a completely micro. In addition, there's a large hole is because not palm to come down no matter what. You guys cannot even return the original road. Even after 10 days. Even after 20 days. You guys but only just around the prowl spider hand of the maze. It would become moon battery of the flashlight to them. No. Daiichi belly comes hey. While screaming in hunger toga aside. We come luck is gradually force. And, you guys 11 people, in a cave of this darkness. It achieves a disastrous last moment. Whether that me come in out help from Tokyo. Foo foo foo. That's no good. It from those garbled of the large bats. Would have waiting in the middle. Everyone opara. Foo foo foo. You something like this hope. 20 countenance in which the human form is. But seems to be talking. Of course. It is not. Large bats. Open the bright red mouth. Which flies of white fang. Such as coming sounded even from the bottom of the earth. Are we talking in a spooky voice? Purr is a true darkness to shed ink. As of the close-up of the movie in it. In the light of a flashlight. Only the face of the bizarre large bat lifted. It is doing things in a dismal voice. Even if the identity of the partner is found at 20 countenance. Is not a walk through the Upor. No. Not only that, in my plan, I still have that back. None other, am Kogoro Akechi of the Princes of the Teacher. I'm with that guy Lure also here. And you guys I'm going all fit in the same I guess good. Gotta go you guys from here. It will come also doing. Policemen to become a large uproar in Tokyo. But Kogoro Akechi disciples think. First and foremost here. Looking for you guys are determined to come in. I is not waiting it. Akechi also. It'll fit in the same order as you guys. In the cave of this darkness. All allowed to starve to death. I do not like to see blood. Never was a murderer. But, because Akechi and you guys. A stray of this cave. To starve to death for no apparent reason is not that I know of was. 20 countenance thing that the guys of own fault jammed it up. Ha ha ha. 20 countenance of large bats. To point to the stop. Confided a terrible plan. You or else laugh, ridicule and comfort up. Then, it echoed the voices in a cave. Is like a large tax people. They're also here, as are laughing, while becoming more and more faint. Also was to have followed forever. Hunter and detective, talk flew, is the lunch around the 2 days later. Near the cave, the home of the old hunter of example. One of the gentlemen has asked, It is the name Detective Kogoro Akechi of Travel Clothing Appearance in Toriuchibo. Boy detective remembers us. The next day of departure. Because his what day did not return even after dark. Your father or mother who? Taken very worry. Because the thing that Nasu, consult with Akechi detective. Detective, impatient at the dawn of the night. Faster than the cops. I went to the cave alone. 10 on behalf of your father as of one of the team members. Is to search the boy's whereabouts. If you ask the old Hunter house. Just cage well of women's work pants appearance example old man happened. It came out to the storefront that is side by side. Such as candy. Please see the sights as the cave. The old man looked unexpected also known that the boys were confined to the sinuses. Was carefree asked. No, I do not as sights. Is your guide's cave? Yes, gas is not. As I that Akechi of Tokyo. The day before yesterday here. Such as junior high and elementary school students. But should children of 11 child came to see the sights. I guess Anta was not a parent. Akechi detective to say so. When you put out a business card. Old man seemed not read the letter. Replied not even try to see it. Yes, I came large text. Is it is somehow. The children, I probably went into the cave. Even as we entered, guide people I went to say it is a healthy and not to say need. In Anta guess that if children saw coming out of the cave. Inya, it is if there is a use in not in gas. Foot seen. It is had coot at the mountain. But, also not see. The boy who was back is. I is definitely not. No way. Limestone cave sleeping also mass me in. Wah ha ha ha. Quote. However, that children, even in the morning, it's not go back to Tokyo. Also on the road to come here. But I also asked, such as the driver of the station staff and cars. Everyone that the children go home. I referred to did not see. So, perhaps, in a limestone cave, but he is worried that not it has become not be out astray. Quote, Hen, I did not return. That Eskatai, Eagle, one of 16 years, but he is doing the guide people here. Nanny no longer get out astray. Gas not be heard, that the boys leave cheerfully. And me wonder if not you were entering Su depth. Old man with his arms folded, was inclined Kokubi. Well, it's because it may get lost if enter through deeply. Yes, I eagle was guide. Do not mean go to the back of the back. The haunts you were in much less alone. Once Akana, I because Jamal turned back at the entrance to the phone. Speaking the truth, who gas also none has delivered looked at the depths of this hole. Quote, then, the children may have been 2 enters deep. Anyway once but I think I want to examine the inside of the cave in my own. I guess us to guide. Thus flashlight also has been prepared. Quote, Akechi detective was showed from the pocket and taken out a small flashlight. Yogasu, well then, in the future soon. A base try to enter into the hole. Old man but I went standing feel free to say into between the back. And I think I was doing something rumble. Immediately been turned back to the storefront. There was a dirt floor. Hook the dirty sandals. It did begin to walk standing ahead. Akechi detective also. Well per the stick. But I follow after them. Around the time they came away even tens of meters of the house of the hunter. From the shadows of the house. One of the strange person has emerged and along. The person is, for this warm, wearing shot and such things from his head like a black officer cloak. Face. Of course the body throughout your place hidden and concealed footsteps as Nanzo or like a thief. Tailing after the futari the eye began to. This dubious person would be nothing on earth. Or not was 20 countenance of minions maybe. No, rather than minions. 20 countenance own might. 20 countenances wearing after Akechi detective to do so. In the darkness of the cave, you might whether there is something terrible scheming than that trying to is. Whether it was really 20 countenance, or it is or was a more and more surprising person than such as 20 countenance. Will come a time when you can see shortly. Case in any reader's gentleman is that of this dubious person. I want to let you in good memory. Old man of the hunter also. A catchy detective also. In a state which is not aware of any that there is such tale who, while talking about something, close to the entrance of the cave, entered directly into the cave. Then, the black cloak of the person as well, from after the futari, as Komu slipping along, or does not disappeared into the cave. When you enter the cave, a catchy detective immediately ignited a flashlight, while light of pretending it, went about after the old man which was familiar, through the narrow awana. Do not hesitate even a little, Gungun will continue to say. However, thus, did when he walked as much as 20 meters. A catchy detective had followed after the old man and I think cried is up. It disappears light of a flashlight. Around here I have become true darkness. Oh, how is it? The fell. If you do not care. Because no flies have feet. Old man has looked back behind in the darkness. No, I'm a little stumbled on the cover and I dropped the flashlight. Oh, was there? Now, because it is all right now. The Pearl River me proceed not matter. A catchy is flashlight, which was raised to pick up to again ignite the lamp. It was show me cheerfully pretend light up. Then the lights were off. But it was during the about only 30 seconds. Even so, even the boys, in the vicinity of such entrance, nobody though was not tripped. The daily attention group named Detective Nanny Toriotosu a flashlight, if not a little strange. I think we had something deep reason for it. However, then the after, without otherwise of events, the two of went proceed to the back of the cave, and the road that had just passed through the boys appeared and was the same as always guide to the way of the old man. Past the cave, such as a large room, eventually came out to the road with holes, such as the example of a deep well. Because there's a bridge here, be careful. I do good. I flunk to the abyss once slips a leg. If you look, when did, who was returned to the original, is the bridge of the example of the plate is at stake properly. Although the two of was over on it quietly, then, whether I thought what old man, the bridge plate of just over now, and lift suddenly, in or think up, will throwing to the bottom of a deep hole directly below. Hey, what I do to you, when you no longer bridges, where do not you cannot be changed is a catchy. If you asked, surprised, old man, in the light of a flashlight, with a laugh and grin, I began to say that's strange. Well, I guess the you I was going to go home. Do not talk, that was obvious. You are, I'm thinking what on earth? Ehehehe, here it says that chome of hell. Once across once again come back, not the place of edge for good sake. Hey, old man, do not Atsu was different also in the gas. Oofufufu, a catchy teacher, it seems a little enlightenment is dealt today. I do not know yet. Oh, it will because it was. Old man had been thought that the mountains of the hunter just until now. Taken suddenly youthful voice. Not started using Tokyo valve. Edge. Well then you are, truly of a catchy detective also seems was scaring. The light of a flashlight to hand has moved shake vigorously. I think everyone, for example, a catchy teacher, I do not say afraid. Ha ha ha, you of is that, Hiruta is the doctor scoured. Another name also referred to as 20 countenance. Ha ha ha, how I nay, no matter how the name detective. Surely my guides cave notice the 20 countenance. Boys that you are looking for. Of course. I was confined to the back of the cave. You are mine, no. But he lives a monster of a large bat with a man is also in this cave. The boys. It was in the order terrible in its large bat. And, now with 11 is 11 people. In the maze. The such top of pathetic only just wait for starvation. That because large bats. In fact, they this for me was garbled. 20 countenance is not human only. He knows how to disguise even animal. Ha ha ha, quote, it's because you try to do with me. A catchy detective, do not panic even a little. I asked quietly, is the outfit in the same order as 11 of the boys? I'm starving. His difference is alive. Become very much disturbed. It cannot be helped. I will go degrees. For difference not Pompidou, it was to order dangerous in. So, for now on, I'll make so as not to be at all the mess around. I'm murderers hate, but I because pies are minions of difference and differences. To starve to death for no apparent reason is not that I know of was. Ha ha ha, is not what good idea. The difference our graveyard, but this cave is indeed your Atsura Imuki location. And oh, I do not do a hand to the pocket. Because of the fast better to fly out of here bullet from it. 20 countenance, which was disguised as old man, and unawares hold the pistol, had been aimed at the chest of staring Akechi detective. If the order to protect myself, it is threatening attitude that could also hate a murderer. Akechi detective, not can also take out a pistol that had been prepared in the pocket. It will in paralyzed. Oh, 11 of the boy detective team members as well. Until the detective Kogoro Akechi is. It took into the trap of fairly 20 countenance. In terms of guy's bottom line, it has ended up early instead of the usual 20 countenance. Because I was being taken to bridge the plate. Also in the wisdom of how much named detective, you will not be able to get out of the maze of this darkness. In Akechi detective, do you finally defeated for 20 countenance? Then, 10 with one of the boys. Do you fate starve to death in this cave? Wah ha ha ha. Funny funny. I become captive tome the first time from birth is such a funny thing. Detective is 20 countenance. Hands nanny not come out even foot. In detective Mr. I guess trying to guide to where the boys of your subordinates. That boys. In just interfere with my work cheeky. In any miserable state. Whether the Nikiwame. Won it. Slowly sightseeing I'm. Ha ha ha. 20 countenances. Saying Nikani Kushiku. Is pressed against the snout of a pistol to the back of Akechi. To the back of the cave. We take defeat of detective. Indeed of Akechi detective also been shot in the unexpected. There is no plow to the hand Mukai. Remains to order the 20 countenance. There was no other go to the back of the cave. The back of the detective. It 20 countenance of the pistol of the snout is pressed against perfect. If or stopped even a little from the snout, it is when the bullet might fly out. No matter how detective, you do not have the use of hand Mukai to this. To be continued. Thank you for your viewing. If you like, please subscribe to the channel. I am very encouraged.